Welcome to Cosmic Wonders series. Today, we're embarking on a real-life sci-fi adventure to Saturn and its mysterious moons. I mean, just imagine blasting off from our cozy, warm Earth, leaving the blue skies far behind, and heading deep, deep into the freezing, dark outer edges of our solar system. Today, we're going to talk about one of the absolute greatest space voyages in human history. It's an incredible story of a giant robotic spaceship, completely alien worlds, and discoveries so wild they honestly sound like they're straight out of a comic book. So let's dive right into this.
So, here's our flight plan for the trip. First, we'll look at the grand Saturn mission. Next, we'll meet the amazing spacecraft itself. Then, we'll visit Titan, which is this crazy Earth-like alien moon, followed by Enceladus, the ocean moon, and finally, we'll uncover the secrets of Saturn's rings.
All right, part 1, the grand Saturn mission. We're starting with the ultimate call to adventure, a 13-year journey into the outer solar system to answer some truly massive questions. Think of this mission like the ultimate school field trip, except, instead of taking a bus to a local museum, scientists send a highly advanced robot across 1 billion kilometers of empty space.
Imagine packing your bags for a trip where your only goal, your one job, is to solve these grand mysteries of the universe. Scientists were really scratching their heads wondering, where does Saturn get its massive, intense internal heat? What's the true origin of those beautiful icy rings? And maybe most importantly, could there be hidden oceans or even the ingredients for alien life buried out there in space? To figure this out, we couldn't just peek through telescopes from Earth. We actually had to go there. Section 2. Meet the amazing spacecraft. To solve these massive mysteries, we needed a serious hero. And that brings us to the Cassini-Huygens, which is one of the heaviest and most complex interplanetary spacecraft ever built by humans. You can't just send a regular rocket on a trip this big, right? You need a super spaceship. Standing at 6.7 meters tall, this massive robotic explorer was roughly the size of a 2-story house. Literally, a 2-story house flying through the cosmos. Just picture that for a second. Imagine your own house, but absolutely stuffed with computers, sensors, and rocket fuel, hurtling through the pitch-black darkness of space at thousands of miles per hour. That is exactly what this machine was doing. Now our colossal ship was actually 2 vehicles wrapped into one. It's kind of like a kangaroo carrying a baby Joey in its pouch. We had the Cassini Orbiter, which was the giant mothership. It stayed out in space, carried 12 amazing science instruments, and explored the whole Saturn system. But strapped to its side was the Huygens probe, the brave little lander. Its one and only job was to detach, fly like a giant metal frisbee, and parachute down directly into an unknown alien atmosphere.
But here's a super cool detail. Before it ever reached the freezing outer planets, the spaceship had to survive passing uncomfortably close to the sun. So, early in the journey, its massive communication antenna was pointed directly at the sun to act just like a giant umbrella. It protected all those delicate instruments from the blistering solar rays. It's basically like taking a giant beach umbrella to space so your multi-billion-dollar robot doesn't get a sunburn.
Moving on to Section 3, Titan, the Earth-like alien. After years of travel, our brave probe finally arrived at its first destination. Titan is this hazy moon with a landscape that is strangely similar to Earth, but, well, with a pretty terrifying twist. It's Saturn's biggest moon, completely covered in a thick orange fog, and nobody had a clue what was hiding underneath until our lander went in.
Let's look at the thrilling timeline of the probe's descent, plunging through that atmosphere to become the very first landing in the outer solar system. On day 1, it detached from the mothership. Then it coasted all alone in the dark for 20 days. After that, it spent 2.5 hours parachuting down through the hazy atmosphere, snapping photos the whole way. Finally, it hit the ground and managed to transmit data from the alien surface for 72 minutes before the mothership flew out of range. And what did it find down there? Well, Titan is unimaginably cold. We're talking negative 148 degrees Celsius. That is way, way colder than the absolute worst freezing winter day you can possibly picture. At that temperature, water doesn't even act like water anymore. It's frozen solid, as hard as concrete.
So because of those freezing temperatures, the massive oceans and lakes on Titan, yeah, they aren't filled with water at all. They are filled with liquid methane, meaning it literally rains natural gas. Methane is the exact same stuff you might use in a gas stove to cook dinner. But on Titan, it forms clouds, it rains down, it carves out giant rivers, and it pools into these huge, sloshing seas like Legia Mare. It's a whole weather system, just like ours, but made of totally alien chemicals. From gigantic sand dunes made of solid plastic-like hydrocarbons that reach 100 meters high, to an atmosphere full of complex organic molecules, Titan is basically a planet-scale laboratory. It shows us what early Earth might have looked like billions of years ago. Oh, and deep under all that freezing ice and plastic sand, we found clues of a hidden global ocean swirling 55 to 80 kilometers underground. Just a completely mind-blowing world.
All right, Section 4, Enceladus, the ocean moon. Next up, our mothership flew past Enceladus, a moon that honestly just looks like a giant super smooth snowball. But this is where the mission uncovered the biggest plot twist of the entire voyage.
For a really long time, scientists wondered, is there liquid water in space? You know, out in the freezing dark of the outer solar system. Because to have life as we know it, you need liquid water. But everyone just assumed it would all be solid ice out there. Enceladus, however, gave us a spectacular answer.
The spacecraft literally flew right through giant plumes of water and ice shooting straight into space. Imagine a whale's blowhole, but blasting freezing water hundreds of miles straight up into the cosmos from the moon's south pole. The mothership flew through this spray, tested it, and proved beyond a doubt that there is a massive liquid water ocean hiding just beneath that icy crust. Even more mind-blowing, we found evidence of hydrothermal vents at the bottom of this alien ocean. These are basically cracks on the seafloor, where scorching hot water mixes with rocks, creating the exact kind of chemical energy needed to potentially support living things. On Earth, these hot cracks are teeming with weird sea creatures. Finding them inside an icy moon by Saturn, that means Enceladus might just have the perfect recipe for alien life. Finally, Section 5, Secrets of Saturn's Rings. For our last stop, we turn our cameras toward the main attraction, the glittering, majestic rings of Saturn. I mean, you can't go all the way to Saturn and not study the rings, right? You see, up close, the rings aren't just peaceful, quiet bands of ice. They are incredibly chaotic racetracks. We found that the F-ring is constantly twisted and contorted. Why? Because there are tiny little moons acting as shepherds, using their gravity to pull and shape the rings. Just like a sheepdog herding a flock of sheep, these little moons herd the ice chunks, while rogue ice fragments actually crash through the rings, creating these beautiful, messy, long streamers. And here is an absolutely incredible connection. You know Saturn's massive E-ring? Well, we discovered that 90% of it is actually made of the frozen water sprayed directly out of Enceladus. That tiny snowball moon is literally spraying an entire planetary ring into existence, like a giant cosmic garden hose. It just shows how everything out there is connected in ways we never even imagined. This epic space voyage truly showed us that exploring the unknown is all about bridging the gap between our cozy world and the high-energy mysteries of the cosmos. By sending a 2-story robotic spaceship out there, we didn't just look at dead rocks. We found plastic sand dunes, rain made of natural gas, and warm, hidden oceans shooting into space. The universe is just so much more creative and exciting than we ever thought possible. So, as we leave the Saturn system behind today, we have to ask, what other hidden oceans and alien worlds are waiting for us out there in the dark? If we found all this weird and wonderful stuff around just one planet, imagine what else is waiting to be discovered. Maybe some of you listening today will be the ones to help design the next great spaceship to find out. Keep wondering, keep exploring, and thank you for listening to this Cosmic Wonders episode.